Yes.
Yes. Sounds good. All right, so let's get started. Okay, so we will look at a bunch of things, like a bunch of keywords and different categories. But what I really want to go over today is how you can actually use concepts to the best, right? So I want to also go over some challenges that you can face while using concepts, because many will think that, hey, we've got something that will extract everything for us, so let's just go ahead and do it. But in what cases it does extremely well, what cases it does okay, what cases it can do bad, and in that cases you will need custom content. We'll go over all of those challenges. Also, we'll go over some challenges that you might be facing right now while creating content with it, like with the developed feature that we currently have. So we'll look at everything that we have right now. And let's look at this expansion joint. Someone requested. Okay, admit. Okay, I just see a few people coming in, so I want to make sure that I can see everyone. Okay, I can see the participants. All right. Okay, so it's still very broad, right? Like I can see that filling, expansion. So if I was to create content around this is going to be a pillar page. I will need tons and tons of content. There's plenty of competition too. So, I mean, this is really going after a whale, trying to rank for it. I'm not saying you cannot rank for it. You can. It's just going to be super difficult because the content that you need to come up with is going to be super long, super very. I mean, you're going to have to do tons of research around it as well, and make sure it's wholesome of everything that you see underneath here. So you might want to like narrow it down and talk about specific topics. This is going to be more beneficial for you to rank, as well as easier to have some depth in the content that can help you stand out from the crowd. So I would go for a little more specific. This expansion joint is just way too broad, and it can, I mean, I see that people are talking about bridges, piping, and roads, right? So you're going to have to be a little more specific. So we can say expansion joints concrete, and maybe just filling expansion joints in concrete. How about that? We can pick that topic and create content around it. Okay, let's give it a few seconds. So you can see this is the first time I'm opening up this. So let's start as soon as it starts loading up. We'll see where are we using the technology where we call it concepts, and we'll look at some challenges and each of those features, go through how to avoid them and what enhancements we're bringing in the future that will solve those challenges as well. All right, it's loading up. Okay, all right. So titles is also, so anything that you see in AI Wizard and concepts is actually using concepts. Anything that where you see generate this kind of feature and an umbrella is using concept. So what this is using right now, it's using the highest frequency keywords that we identify from the SERP data. And it is also using the main keyword query in order to create titles based on examples from the SERP. Okay, so I'm being very specific here. It is using highest frequency keywords. It is using the focus keyword that you have entered and using examples from the actual SERP data to come up with your title ideas. So what happens is that sometimes you're talking about a topic which is essentially a listicle, right? Or it is informational or a how-to. People who are ranking in Google with the heading that they have, that qualifies as a certain search intent. And we want to maintain that. That is why we are using existing SERP data to train the AI on fly, gather the core concepts that could be associated with the user intent, and then help you build the title. Now, there is a challenge here. Now, the challenge is that sometimes you want to rank for more than one focus keyword in your title, right? So how do you get past that? Because we don't have that currently right now. So that's one of the challenges that you can face when it comes to title. But besides that, it would do a pretty good job at coming up with very good title ideas, like how to fill expansion joints in concrete. This is something that someone might be really looking for, and all it does not have is filling. So this is still very close to the user intent, right? So this is why it's suggesting this particular title. You can adjust it by double clicking on it. So most of the utilities in outranking use double clicks. It's very important to remember double clicking, because some people get frustrated when they click and nothing happens. So use double clicks and it will open up. You can add certain things in here and you can make small adjustments if you wanted to, and just make sure that it is selected like this, and then you click next. Then what we are doing is that we're passing it the title. We're passing it a bunch of examples from SERP in order to help us create meta description that has certain keywords and certain highest frequency keywords. What we are using is highest frequency keywords, your title that you already selected, and some examples from SERP data in order to come up with your meta description. Challenge, similarly, again, using more than one relevant keyword. So since we are only telling you to optimize for this particular focus keyword, we're using that focus keyword as well, only to come up with your title description ideas. But what we have in the next release is that we're also using certain other keywords, which we identified are most used in SERP, to influence the AI to come up with specific meta descriptions that actually Google finds relevant and is willing to use it. Again, there's no saying that they will use it or not, but we'll try to at least use a very good meta description that has majority of the keywords that we actually need in it. So let's go ahead and generate meta description. Okay. So what it's doing is like, it's giving you 5 ideas, right? And you can generate more ideas if you wanted to by just clicking generate meta description. If there's nothing that actually fits your agenda. So, I mean, or you can also double click it and change it around. So let's go next. Now, this section's idea, as much as I'd want to explain everything in detail, I'm going to keep this one specifically very brief, because the learning curve on it will totally change. The way you use outlines and build outlines will totally be revamped in the next release, right? We're really focusing on helping you build outlines very fast, not just give you ideas, but give you valuable information, valuable ideas, structured ideas that you can use to create your outlines with the easier and faster. The UI we feel is too congested too for building out outlines in a very small area of AI wizard. So this is seeing a significant change in the next release. But what it's currently doing is that it's currently going and using related keywords data and SERP titles to identify some concepts on it, and then recreate those headings in form of a question wherever possible. So that is why it's giving you mostly all questions. These are all unique data, and you really don't have to edit much for plagiarism, but it's a really good idea to always check. Okay, I'm just letting a few more people in. Okay, so we are at the outlines right now. Like, what is expansion joints? How to fill expansion joints in concrete driveway? What is the best way to do filling an expansion joint? This could be above that. Why do you need a seal your concrete driveway at expansion joints? Right? This is a very good topic as well. Some ways to sealing your concrete driveway. This is also a very good one. Okay, I see some questions here. So let me go through the outline and I'll quickly come back to the questions. I will not move on to the next section. We'll take everything that we have currently in the chat. Okay, let's go ahead and see some more, right? What are the best materials for filling expansion joints? So let's say if you are selling a product that you want to introduce into your content at this point, this would be an ideal one, right? what can be used to fill a concrete? Okay, now what are some things that can go wrong when trying to fill an expansion joint? This is definitely something that we want to use. So if you are selling a service, right, this is a question that you'd probably want to answer with your service and say, this is how you fill it, and this is how you can use our service for it. Can you use anything other than epoxy to fill the gap between two surfaces of poured concrete? This is a very common question, and I've seen this multiple times, many places. So I'm going to add this as an idea. I don't know how I'm going to structure it. I'll structure that later on, or that's not actually the part of it. But what I'm trying to show here is that you can identify different types of ideas that you want to include in your content, and then later organize it. With next release, you'll be able to organize everything right here as is. But right now, this is the way. Okay, so let me pause here for a second and go back and look at the screen so I can get some questions in. Yes, absolutely. Sarkan already answered that. Then I have a question about the content retrieved in metadata. One of my sites came back in a query and the metadata was word to word in the metadata. Will this data be more unique? It should be unique. It's recreated. It's not using existing content at all from anything that you see. And if you do see it, send us an example, and it will really help us actually figure out like which portion of our training data could be, could have problems with certain types of specific keyword related meta description or something like that. But it should be totally unique, right? Like we are.
The output from AI, or we can say the concepts, is unique, yes, but we are also listing the titles and descriptions from the SERP results to help people what other people or competitors are using. So yes, you can see, for example, your company title or meta description, which are listing other places, but not from the output of AI. Right. These are different things. Yeah.
I think what Jason, you might have came across this particular section where you might have seen word to word of your website. These are actual ranking pages on Google, and this is the data collected from SERP query. And this is what's showing it. So if you see your data in here, yeah, it is exact to exact what you have on your website, because that's what we are showing users as idea from SERP. This is what your competition is using. That is what we are showing. So this is exactly the thing.
Is it okay if I pop in?
Yes.
Yeah, no, it was actually in the beginning where it was giving me metadata. So the search term was SEO Austin or Austin SEO, I can't remember. And it actually, the meta description right there was word for word off of one of my sub pages. So I don't know how that, I want to send it to you guys.
I know what I'm saying is that the probability of that happening is very, very, very slim, and AI is working on probability.
Or very generic. For example, Austin SEO is very generic, or
sure,
lots of people are also using this kind of things. So when it comes to say it totally belongs to you, it should be a long sentence. If it's exactly the same, you can say, yeah, it's exactly the same. But we know the technology, GPT-3, it is not copying, pasting, anything, and we are not doing this kind of things. Yeah.
Yeah, it actually led with my company name and that sub page. It was really,
so I was like, well, it led with your company. So wait a second. So you already had a page that is ranking for that keyword. And what you did here is that you use that keyword to create a new page out of it and figure out, right? And what you were doing is essentially, you probably had your company name in the meta title before you went to meta description, right?
The original page.
So before you go to meta description, you need a title, right? Did you?
Oh yeah, the title was just flat out SEO Awesome. That was it.
SEO Awesome, and is SEO Awesome your company name?
Austin.
SEO Austin, and
right.
That's very interesting. So if
I want to
that
share it with you guys. I would love for you guys to see it because I was like, this is really weird. And then the second metadata had another company in Austin with their name in it. So
yeah,
that's that makes
possible.
sense. Yeah.
So that makes sense, right? Like it's suggesting you that some companies are listed on this particular page, so you need to be there, right? So that is okay that you have other companies' name in it, but having the exact to exact description is not okay, because you can change the company name if you like the description,
Sure.
and it's not going to be the same. But having exact to exact description, the probability it's there. I'm not saying we're very, very, very low. So if that is happening, if you can send me a screenshot and the URL that you have, I can actually go and see if we can change the algorithm a little bit to make sure that this does not happen, even in that severest case.
Okay, I can do that.
Cool.
Thank you.
No, you're welcome. Okay. Can you also cover tagging and building cilios on web pages to help SERP results? I am not sure what you mean.
I just responded. Yeah.
Okay, all right. Okay. So if no questions, at least around this particular section, I can move forward. Okay, I don't see any question. Serkan, you're replying to, right? So yeah, Malcolm, Serkan's gonna cover your question.
Yeah, I will try to do my best. Yeah.
Okay, all right. Okay, so now we have outlines, basically, right? What I really like to do is not just tense, like stop here. I want my outlines to be super powerful. So what I usually do, or what I always do, is open this up in the concept builder and then go surf the SERP in order to understand how to this, like keeping them water light and crack resistant, removing old material from content expansion joints, right? So how do you fill this is probably going to be a very extended section that I want to talk about. I'm going to add that. Prepping your concrete. So this is like how to fill expansion joints in concrete driveway. This is what exactly it's showing it. And then I can obviously go and rewrite that later. Okay. So you understand, like, so this is how I am building out my topics and making sure that I have everything covered that my outline is suggesting here. And it's saying like an average page has 18 sections. We can easily reach that. But some section has 219 sections. So this could be also a listing website. I don't really know which one is that. So I would actually quickly go and see, oh, wow, look at that, 15,000 words in it. And they probably have like tons and tons of keywords and everything around it. Let's see. Yeah, see, this is a very, 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 no, actually, this is lots of comments, which is actually getting indexed, and there is, but the content is not that great, right? So you can exclude this from the suggestion. So expand all. I would exclude this from my suggestion. So it does not show me, not this one, this one. I would exclude this from my suggestion. So it will not show me how many keywords I need in my instructions based on that.
Yeah, this is very important. Lots of people are asking about these things, how to remove some results from the suggestions. Pankaj has just showed that you can hide it, and then you can go after other suggestions. Yeah.
Once I click close on it, this will refresh automatically, and the score will also change. So we'll come back to that and see how this page numbers affect that. Okay, so let's go back to research. And so I can totally ignore that, right? Like that particular page. But besides that, I think if I focus on 18 sections, that's a good depth. It's at least more than an average post in here. And if I just have the right amount of words in it and the right topics in it, and the right optimization, that's all you need over there then. Okay, so let's go back and go back to research here. Okay, I opened up research here just to start kind of understanding how concepts really work. So I want to show you map to map on how we actually pull out content and give you guys information. So there's a total understanding of it. So what is expansion joints? Let's see if we find an exact match for it. And SERP. We don't, right? Do we find, let's see, let's remove that. Not even that. Concrete expansion joints. It found this, maybe removing, it did not find what is. So what's gonna happen now? We don't have this particular keyword in it. What's it gonna do? There's a couple of things that it can do. It can actually go and find like the probability of finding the closest one topic into your actual served data, all H2s and H3 tags. Second, it can actually do reading NLP and understand what other H2 and H3s mean and find the most relevant meaning to the heading that we are searching and identify concepts from it. Now, what is the challenge here? The challenge is that sometimes you will not find concepts that have the same meaning to what you are actually trying to explain and generate concepts around, right? This is specifically very challenging. And that's why some people get frustrated that, hey, 5 to 10% of the results that I bring out with concepts is not relevant. And how do I make it more relevant, right? So two things. There's one way that you can make it relevant right now, which is do some manual research, copy paste that data into the settings and make it more relevant. Second, the solution is our next upcoming release. And it can even pull out relevant topics from any content which is unstructured. So that's a different ballgame. So let's forget about that right now. But what can you do right now in order to generate good concepts, right? So let's go ahead and click on what are expansion joints. Let's see if we find something. Crap content, right? Expansion joint repairs or controls, joint repair is necessary, that cost varies from this to this. This is crap. I don't really like this. So what do I do now? The way I execute this is this. Okay, what are expansion joints, right? I did find some things like, nobody's talking about this. That's crazy. Okay. All right, so I find this Wikipedia content. Let's just copy that, and I will show you what will happen. If you paste the Wikipedia content in here and you generate what are expansion joints, let's see what it gives us. Okay, so 1 second. I think someone just okay, got it. Okay. So what are expansion joints? Movement joints are designed to hold. They are currently molded in building, bridging, sidewalks, blah, blah, blah. Expansion joints were built to prevent cracking. So this is actually, let me go. Okay. So this is what actually is answering the question, right? So instead of just blindly clicking on this, and developing the concepts, what I would do is expand upon this concept the very first, and then move into the details of what some of these details are here. And that is how you will get more relevant output out of it. This problem, there's two problems here. And we'll get to those problems as well. So right now, let's just get to the concept generation part, and then we'll get to concept expansion part. Okay.
So finally, we saw that our users are able to feed outranking AI, the concepts, with their custom data. This is one of the biggest difference our platform with the other AIs.
Right.
And what's the limit of that custom data?
It's 1800 characters. So it's approximately, divide that by 5, and that's how many words you have. It's a good size paragraph. That is for only custom data. But when we are trying to read from served data, currently, we bring out the best matching section only. And the challenges here can be, again, that sometimes you want to gather concepts from all served data and create even more powerful content that one page is not covering, but the other pages, right? This is a major challenge. That changes with the next release. It can go and read multiple sections to come up with concepts unique, right? But that's a challenge. Like, we know what challenges are. And what I'm trying to show you right now is how you can move past those challenges in the current release that you have in your hand, and how you can really use concepts to build out some powerful content. So this is the first tactic that I would use. Second, let's go ahead and click on generate concepts for this. More than likely, we'll find something very relevant. So it is explaining everything around how you need to actually fill those joins. And what happens is that sometimes you feel like this is a relevant concept, but it is not really explaining how to fill expansion joints in concrete driveway. Actually, what it's going to do is when you start developing this particular topic, it's going to develop this concept around your H2. So it will make sure again, or force the AI to stay on track again and explain how to fill joints in concrete driveway using this concept. So that is like our way of making sure that the AI stays on track and still talks relevant in cases where the concepts are even a little drifted from the original meaning of it, making it even more closer meaning. So this gives you a total edge on how the output is given, because it's generating new content, right? Like you are not copying the same idea from SERP. You are taking the feedback from SERP. And this is why it's significantly different. Okay, let's go ahead and add a few other ones so you can see some of sealing. Then what are the best ways to filling an expansion joint? So this is like a totally different meaning. Best ways to fill an expansion joint. We'll get different content for it. There we go. It has 3 instructions. Clean your joints, then dig out and remove old material. Apply epoxy into the joint with brush or foam, a baker rod. If you were creating a listicle, you can just copy this 3 and have a list, or step 1, 2, 3 and expand upon it. Or if you wanted to expand upon it, you can develop the content. But this is how it works, right? Like it's doing the research for you. It's going and grabbing content from SERP data and filling in those blanks. Okay, let me see. Okay, so it's no questions here. Now let's go further, right? With the concept. So let me delete this and go back in here, settings. So this takes about 1800 characters, give or take. And then it uses concept generation technology to come up with concepts. When we are doing SERP data, it can actually read up to 2,000-3,000 words, which are actually related to the particular concept with the next release. The current release only reads everything that it finds in the best matching section. So it's 2 differences, like so you guys can understand like how powerful it can get if you were able to extract some information from any given paragraph associated with something. Now, it might take a few seconds to understand the significance of this, but the significance, like take your podcast, or take 1 second, or take a YouTube video that you did reviews on, or take a webinar that someone did a webinar on. You don't have an outline for that. There's no research for that. And it's something that you're just creating yourself, right? Like you need to do the structuring of it, figure out what to talk about it and how to talk about it. If we were able to extract the relevant information from an existing paragraph around a particular topic, what other things can you do with the use cases that I just mentioned? So understand that, and that is why next release is again a game changer. But let's move on. Okay, so I clicked OK. Now let's say you have your custom research already. So I see that some people, or in rare cases when your content requirements are so specifically given, and you have bullet points that someone wants you to create content around, in those cases, you can use this to add multiple concepts, double click on them and insert your own concept. Also, if you don't want to do this, this is like, I never use this. The reason being, I'm just like, I want to get things done fast. So I will never use it. I'll just go and paste it and run it again. And it'll give me 4 or 5 suggestions from the bullet points that I've already given it, but better. It will rewrite it, make it better readability, and give me suggestions for those. So that's how I use plus signs, but I understand that sometimes you have so many concepts and you just want to add a couple, right? Here or there. that's when you use this plus sign specifically.
Can you clarify again, what's the difference between plus sign and the settings gear icon? The difference between two places, what they are exactly.
Right. So this is saying that I have my own concept, don't generate for me. I just want to use my own concept and create content from AI. And this is saying that I have my custom research and I want you to go and collect the concepts for me and organize it for me. So it's totally different things. Okay. So write for me. Write for me is a little different. It's not using concept technology, but it's using actual GPT-3 in a different way. It's trying to read. Let me admit a few more people. Just 1 second. A bunch of people joining in, so I'm letting them in just 1 second. Okay, all right. Everyone's in. All right, so let's go back here. So write for me can read your H2s, can read content between your H2s and from where you actually do the answer for me. It can read your H3s, it can read your title, and it can read your meta description. So what we are really trying to do with write for me is keep the AI on track with what you want to write. But what we have noticed is that most people would just click on write for me, hoping that it will start building out the paragraph for you. No, you need to start with your paragraph, and we'll look at that as soon as we start building out the content. So let's go back to concept generation. And this summarize, it's summarized, like I'm not even going to go here because this concept changes as well with the next release. And it's not, I understand that it's not useful for many people, but it's there for a purpose. And the purpose, you will see the purpose in the next release for it. Okay. So let's say, what are the different templates, right? They're like, we have 4 templates. So what you're currently using is default. Default means collect all concepts for me. Then there is steps. In this case, so let's say we wanted for this, right? Like how to fill, we wanted steps here. Let's see how different the output is, right? This is sort of a step, right? Like how to fill expansion joints and concrete drive.
So with using templates, it means that we are trying to get outputs according to that template from AI. Yes.
Yes. We are influencing the AI to give us step kind of concepts. Like it's still going to make sure that it collects concepts out of it, but because concepts are the core vitals of a sentence or a paragraph, or the meaning around a certain thing that you're talking about in the paragraphs, this will be even better than the actual content that you see in SERP. And this is why, like, these are exact steps. Like I could just say step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 with minimal adjustments. And you can see it's done. It's ending with queuing time is typically 48 hours, but you can take up to 72 hours. It's telling you this is where we stop. These are all the steps. It's phenomenal in what it can do with certain default templates. And these are based on some of the use cases that you guys currently have when creating content. So let's delete this. Let's see what else is there, right? Like, is there any disadvantages of filling epoxy in concrete driveway with anything, right? Like what are some negative thoughts about, or maybe things that I need to tell the user when it comes to expansion driveways, right? So if I wanted to do that, I can click on disadvantages and select this. So I'm not sure how good it will be. It shouldn't be, right? Like, okay, there we go. These are the things that you need to let the users know, that you need to keep attention to all of these things when you're building out your paragraph. Or when you're doing this actual exercise on how to fill expansion joints in concrete driveway. This is not manual research, right? This is research from SERP presented in a way that is better than SERP. And that is why some people have seen significant improvement in ranking, is because this is digestible information, right? It's easy to read, it's easy to follow, and the users can be hooked onto it, but just because they're finding such good value here, than reading 1,000 paragraphs and getting the same value, or maybe not taking away anything because it's written in paragraphs. So this really gives you an edge on creating quality content once you have the right concept figured out. Okay, let's go ahead and delete that. So these are all the bad things. Now let's go ahead and see if there are benefits to it. Can it get any better? How much content do you want to construct out of SERP that is so powerful that it can pretty much solve any of your customers' challenge? And this is existing paragraph extracting. We're using existing paragraph to extract different types of information that your users will find relevant. So if I was to build content around how to fit expansion joints in concrete, first would be steps. My second would be things to keep in mind. And third would be why you should do it. And all of those three things I have content for using the same paragraph and with other valuable information not repeated that can penalize you for keyword density. So super powerful in terms of what it can do and how it can present data. Let's see others, right? So there's features. Now this is not a product, so I can generate concepts around it. Like if you're worried about your credits, don't use this feature with features. Understand, when you are using features, it needs to be about a product, right? Like what can have features? An expansion joint in concrete driveway cannot have features, right? Like it's not helping us do anything. Actually, we're trying to figure out a problem to solve around that. So you cannot use features for that. I will generate concepts in it, but you will see that why it's not relevant. So humans are always needed in order to understand. Oh, wow, look at that. So I did not expect this, but contraction joints, cleanup. So this is like giving me steps. And it's showing some features of the products that I'm using to fulfill this particular thing, but it's still not relevant, right? In this case, what would be relevant, right? Like I would want to write about epoxy flooring, right? So it's like I find epoxy flooring for stuff on Amazon, right? So it's just I don't really know if this problem actually does look like it solves the problem. So what we can do now is see more product details. Okay, this is the product details. Okay, I have this much information. Let me just copy this. See? And let me collapse this all. Okay, so we're here now. What I will do is add another H3 here to show you where I would probably group it, right? So let's drag this up in here so we can keep everything in track. Okay. Okay, so epoxy flooring solution for driveways, like a best way of filling out expansion joint. Let's start generating concepts for it. Okay, this is a specific thing where you might or might not find good information from SERP again, because you're talking about epoxy flooring, and we are now going to talk about even a specific product related to epoxy flooring, right? So it's a two-part acrylic epoxy interior, exterior. I don't even know what's the name. It's just, there's no name to it, just a description for it. So we can just copy and paste the description when we come to it, but let's see if it generates concepts for it. And then we will use custom. Okay, there we go. We could not find any concepts related to this topic. Please use settings to add your custom content. In this case, what I would do is I have the information from here. I'll paste it here. And I want to collect information about like epoxy flooring solution for driveway. And I want to collect features of it. And I would extract the information. This is what you would include in your content as features. Sure, you can do some fact checking if you want to, but it's all coming from existing information. So very little fact checking. Well, there's no fact checking required. If you want to add more content in it, you can then check the content that you've actually copied and pasted it. But most cases, or 99.9% of the cases, it's going to really try and extract everything that it can around features from it. So let's go ahead and close this out. Now, sorry guys, just 1 second. Bit of a distraction on my computer here. Okay. All right. So now you can see the features of it, right? Now, I also wanted to write, like, what are the benefits of using this product, right? Like, so I could say, and most likely, BRODUCT. Benefits of using, I'm just using some random names so you can understand what I'm trying to do and what I'm trying to collect out of it. So let's go ahead and paste this in here.
So Pankaj, you are creating H3 under H2
Yes.
just by dragging and dropping. Can you show again? Because we got some questions about that. Yeah.
Why is it not going in? Oh, it's already in H3. That's why it's not going into my H3s. Let me. Okay, so benefits of using a product. So I just dragged it up and it went up. You can drag it into the previous place and it will stay up, and the other one will move down. That's how it works. Currently, what's not there is moving H3 out into an H2. It's a bit of challenge. So it's on the roadmap, and we'll see how we can perform this better and make H3 automatically into an H2. Because there are some dependencies that we are building when H2 is moved into an H3. Which we have to unbuild if we have to get out. So it's a different thing, but let's go ahead and use the same thing, right? So I'm going to copy this content that I had in epoxy. I'm not going to copy this content because this content I copied for specifically, oh, there we go. It's right here. For specifically finding out information related to features from a particular product. So I just deleted that information. Now, let's see if I wanted to find out, like, what are the benefits of using this particular brand, right? Like, what are the benefits of using epoxy flooring? And like, I don't really know, but what I do know is there might be customers who know about this information, right? So what I can do is, like, I just want real information from people who actually used it and found benefit out of it. So what you can do is just copy this. Paste it. And I will generate benefits out of it. So I do see that a few people have complaints. Well, they given some stars, right? So they did find some value in it. And they did not find some value in some other features, right? So we'll identify both of those things using concepts. So you can say benefits of using this particular product. Let's generate. It covers the surface nicely. It looks good, and it protects from weather, affordable. And you can see this is crazy, right? So this is giving you information that if you were to actually analyze reading paragraphs and coming up to write a benefit of a particular product that's selling on Amazon, or your client who's selling this somewhere else, right? So you could say, if it's a drop shipper's website, you would still find some reviews. If it is a drop shipper's website, you would still find some features and information from it that you need to repurpose and use it to create your own content, better content, right? This is how you do it. Get the content from your from dropshipper's site or wherever, like if you have a login or whatever, just grab the content from it and use it in here. Also, there's other ways to actually bring out concepts for more relevancy. What you can do is you can add many URLs in here, and it automatically starts extracting or reading information and collecting concepts from it. And some people worry that, hey, if I add like 10 URLs, will it consume more characters? No, it will not. We will not go and read it until and unless you want it to read and find those only specific information. So it's not costing any money. Go and add as much research as you want. It is free. And this is some concern that people have. But concepts can read from custom URLs. The challenge on here is that it does not read content if this I is clicked. So that's an enhancement that we are bringing in the next release, where if you exclude a particular domain, it will not try to collect concepts from it whatsoever. Okay, so let's go back to here to the benefits that we just collected from the features. I will delete this. And I did see, right, like there are a few negative comments. So I also want to write that, hey, there might be some problems using this product. And these are the things that you want to be careful about. There we go. There is no way that you can have better information, even from the reviews that you're currently looking at on Amazon, than reading it here. I would probably just, before purchasing anything from anywhere, just throw my reviews in here to understand what problems I could be facing, right? But all right, so it's good enough for this particular portion. And I covered, like, I covered majority. Okay, so I covered all the template. My mouse. Okay, so here, okay, we covered all the default templates that we currently have. What's new, right? Like people have been suggesting some templates. Like, so when you're suggesting template, right? Suggest a template that will not help you write the entire thing the way you want it, but instead get you to a position where you can do that very quickly. And that is what this concept developments are. So when you are extracting concepts, concepts cannot be extracted. Well, they can be extracted in terms of benefits. So it can be definitely extracted in terms of an awareness paragraph and stuff like that. But the collection of paragraph is not what concepts is. Concepts is discussion points that you can use in order to create powerful content that is wholesome of a particular topic. So it's very different, right? So what can be other concepts? There's one concept that we are adding into, well, actually two concepts that we are adding into the next release. One is called related. What related does is that even though your H2 or H3 is talking about totally different thing, and it goes and finds some relevant content, but not all relevant content from particular served data, it can understand what is relevant to that particular topic. It can understand what to extract from it around that particular topic or around that particular question, and only give you suggestions for those. So you don't even have to do venting out of what might not be relevant to your H2 or H3 tag from concepts. It's like taking it to totally a different game, right? Then there is another one which will help you extract outlines of an existing text. So you can paste your YouTube video and say, I want an outline for my YouTube video, and you're done. So things like that, right? So think about templates and concepts, and not any templates that you would see in any other AI tool or like that. This is for specifically extracting information that is relevant to what you are doing with writing. So think that, don't think that it can actually write everything for you and give you everything as, you know, ready-made. That's not going to help. And that will probably have tons and tons of fluff in it as well. So we want to keep it more concise and on point. Okay, let's close this out. And we can see a few more features of concepts. There we go, sections. All right. So we saw how we were building out concepts, right? Now we'll see how we build out this individual paragraphs. So what happens, like, right? Like I have H1 tag and I don't have anything else. If I start building out this concept, it will automatically insert this H2 tag in it. So you don't really have to do manual copy. We're trying to build this smart moments in the product so to help you do things faster. Just there's a little learning curve because not everybody has used every possible combination of buttons. So it can take some time to get there. And that is why I'm just walking you through concepts. So I can paste this in here if I wanted to, and make sure your cursor is at the bottom. I can paste it in here, but let's just do this instead. You see, automatically it pasted it and it wrote a sentence around it. Now it is going to try and make sure that it answers what expansion joint is, even if this might be a little off topic, but it's possible that it can not do that in certain cases. So if that happens, it's a very rare case, right? Like anything is possible in probability. So just run it again, like press Control Z and run it again. There we go, right? So as simple as that, like if you are after speed, then give it a couple of tries, maybe in less than 5% of the cases, but give it a couple of tries. Like just don't give up because the first time it did not work and say, you know what, like this is not working and this is just generating cat content. It's not. It's actually helping you. But in order to help you, you have to tell it when it is helping and when it is not, right? So go from there. Now, there's a challenge here, right? Like when you are building out this concept, it works great when you are building out like topics, listicles or steps, because some of the context in the beginning is being repeated because it keeps going back and talking about what is expansion joint, but then it eventually starts getting into your concept. This is a challenge, right? Like I 100% know that everybody is facing this particular challenge. And you can see that it's possible. There we go. Okay, so it's possible that some of this context could mean the same thing in the beginning or some part of it, right? So there's no transition from one paragraph to the other. There's no way for concepts to know right now whether this is actually all belongs to one. So right now you have to develop concept each individually, one by one. And I understand for some of you, it can be frustrating, but still people are using it to the fullest. So we know that you're finding it value here. We just want to speed things up now. So what we have done in the next release to solve the challenge of repetitiveness in the particular titles, some portions of the two separate build out titles and individual concept expansion, is that we have combined. So you can select what concepts you wanted to build out together. And you can then click on summarize, and it can start building on those three concepts together. So your content is even more relevant, has even less fluff, and it can easily transition into a new paragraph as well with this edit feature. So let's say you write one paragraph and you want to write a second paragraph. It will figure out that there is already a paragraph. This is what you're talking about in this paragraph. So now I need to transition into this new topic or new concept and help you build further, not go back, not give you repetitive stuff. So it will be able to do that automatically in the next release as well. But currently, I understand that in some cases, you might have to make some minor adjustments to combine these two paragraphs and make it your own or make it more productive. But most cases, it should work. And this is one of the biggest difference, right? Like, when you are writing with any AI writer out there, what it does is like, it's going to go out in like a singular format, like the paragraph breaking and everything will be decided by the AI. And then that's when, you decide, oh, hey, I wrote the entire paragraph. Should I go and edit half of it, delete half of it, write maybe 10 more sentences to it, or do what with it, right? Just n number of combinations. We keep this moving in a very structured way. So you're actually focused on building content and not just constantly editing and making sure that your content is truthful or aligned with what we have. So significant improvements coming for concepts and also next release. But what I would really suggest is that start using it, right? Like start spending your credits, at least the month is ending when your credits roll over. Don't let it slide. Use the system, even if you use some to waste around it. The learning curve will be significantly reduced when you are actually equipped with this. Comes the next release, not only you will spend lesser credits and outputs, but it will be also more relevant because we're doing this bunch of other tactics to build out the concept. So let me pause here.
Can you mention that when will be the next release? Maybe.
Maybe, if there was not enough distraction around people crucifying us around AppSumo, we would have been there today. But because there was lots of distraction, we're running about 10 days late on it. So we're expecting right around the 20th of this month. So it's still not that very far, probably earlier than that if we can get all the beta users rolled up faster. But we're expecting somewhere in the 3rd week of this month.
Pankaj, can you also talk about something about the SEO score on the top right? what is it based
So,
on?
Serkan, I really don't want to talk about anything related to SEO score in this one. This is specifically for concepts, and I will talk about SEO score in the next one, right? I want to keep it very concise.
Because we got some questions.
I understand, and then once I start discussing other topics, there's going to be someone in the group who start with, you know what, you're talking about too many things and too fast. So I'm trying to slow down, really help you guys. So I will cover the SEO scoring in the next one, or as an individual webinar, so everyone can understand, and we can actually create a very useful video out of it that people can use on an ongoing basis.
Okay.
So, all right. So, Serkan, if you see any questions around concepts, let's answer them. We're coming to the end of the time, and I want to make sure I get.
Anku, can you show again how to add URLs, the custom URLs again?
Research. Go ahead.
In the resource section, they can add their own custom URLs, or which page are not in the SERP top page. Let's maybe in the 5th page, 9th page. Yeah.
Yep. The DA and PA is showing 0 as soon as you refresh the page. It will start displaying here. But it's actually not supposed to show you DA and PA for custom domains. The reason being it's not part of SERP. So we're not really looking at outranking those credentials for this particular keyword. So it's keeping those scores 0 and not evaluating it and helping us and helping you save some credits as well. But yeah, so here's the Wikipedia content that we just added. Now I can actually type expansion joins. Let me just copy the exact thing, right? So we can find it in search, and you will see that it will pull out from that. There you go. Oh, I had custom data in here. Never mind.
I have a quick question about the concepts, bringing the concepts into the editor.
Yes, absolutely.
So when you bring the concepts into the editor, and let's just say you've got that first 2 sentences and you want to expand on that, how far do you feel comfortable with letting the AI continue on before you decide to that we should, take it into another concept?
Okay, so like when we are trying to come up with this expansions of concepts, what we're trying to suggest is that how much more can we add upon that concept before it starts drifting away. So what we really did was took many examples, like just thousands of examples where we ran through some analysis to see and individually go and identify, like in hundreds of cases where we saw like how much more is needed in many cases, like for different kinds of keywords or different kinds of sentences, or how much less is needed, right? So the way we structured out our training data is based on like finding out how much can you add to it before the probability of fluff starts increasing. And we found that balance right here. And I'm not saying this is probably the right balance. It could be a little better or a little different. But what you see here is the actual expansion of that particular concept. And if you want to expand upon it, you can do obviously, right? Like write for me, and this will do pretty much the same thing as you start writing for you and building out paragraphs. What you can decide is that keep it on low, break out the paragraphs or break out the sentences and start elaborating on there. So it doesn't really start drifting away too far off. And you can actually use write for me. It'll keep it more on track with the H3 tag. So it will not drift away too far. But if I say that if you're creating content in volume, and volume is what really matters to you, I think focusing on adding more details to it, rather than that, I would focus on adding valuable details into concept so it covers all the things in the most precise way. The amount of content that you will be able to generate, it's gonna be lots. Okay, like just I showed you how ideas you can use different templates to gather different kinds of concepts, right? you can elaborate and you can create as much content as you want, or you can elaborate yourself a little bit by clicking and just adjusting the paragraph. Like I can just say, I want to move it out here and I want to start building out here. So write for me and Control Z. Okay. And do it right for me. I'm not sure. Okay. So it's making that H2 tag for some reason. To check. So yeah, you see that it starts building upon those. Hold on 1 second. I know. This is why. Okay. So write for me. For some reason. Okay, I'll get that checked. It should not be the case. Okay, something is itching it in this browser. We'll get it checked, but it should start building for all your browsers. Like right now, probably using Zoom, and that is why it's not allowing some JavaScript to go through. But it should start writing from here, and you can write as much as you want. This will only write less for you, not a lot. Just now, this is like really bothering me because it's not doing right for me. Yeah. Okay. Let me just refresh. Wow. There is something definitely wrong on my HTML here. Admit. Okay. It's probably something wrong in the way I pasted this probably. Anyways, let's not figure out how to solve this right now. I'll figure that out. Okay, so it should do that. But like, I think your major concern is that how do I add more details to it? Hello?
We can hear you, Funko.
Yeah, someone asked this question, so I'm going.
Yeah, that was me. I'm sorry. I was muted and I didn't realize it. Yeah, so the question was, like the concepts, bringing the concepts over, and then we've got those first 2 paragraphs and, just how long before, what are we comfortable with before we start to see the AI drift?
It should not drift if you follow the outputs that it's giving you. And that is like how we trained it to not drift away and talk about 10 million other things when we are already covering all the 10 other million things in concepts in other places, right? So what would be the situation where you'd want it to drift away? Or what would be a situation where you'd want to add more details to it? If those details are actually not covered in concepts, right? That is the only time when you would want to go and add more details.
Or more like expanding on that detail. So if we got a concept as a header, an H2, and we pull in some of these concepts underneath that to maybe, that paragraph right there, maybe I want to actually expand on just that paragraph and maybe try to pull out 3 paragraphs on that one subject, like
on this one particular subject.
Correct.
What I would do if it is that kind of a topic, you break it out into another H2 or H3 tag and collect more concepts on it, or add a better research to build upon it. Because what we are really trying to do here is that make sure that you have a total understanding, or at least the concept builder here has total understanding of what should go under pipe expansion joint from the existing data that you have provided in research. So it should cover everything in it. If it is not covering it, that means it's either fluff or it is either things which are circling around something when it can be said in a very shorter manner. So it's already doing that for you.
So you wouldn't bring these, like the first 5 concepts, for instance, right here, you wouldn't bring those first 5 concepts and just put them underneath what are expansion joints. Is that correct?
No, I would, right? So like, let's say if I was talking about pipe expansion joints right now, what I would do is right now, the best way is to actually expand upon all 4 concepts, right? So I'd expand this, then I would expand this. Let's see some challenges right here. So you'll understand like what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Okay, so it did give me 4 paragraphs, right? Now, the issue that I mentioned earlier was that pip expansion joints are, you see R.
Right, yeah, a lot of repetitive.
Yes, right. So you need to edit them and make them a little concise. And this is one of the problems that we have currently. But besides that, it's keeping in track and talking about what's in here and adding a little bit on top of it as well. So it's doing that already. And if you think you need to add something, what I would do is, instead of like just asking AI to build upon your content and help you finish it, I would probably add that concept and use it to expand it. So this is the current way of doing it, right? Like you are expanding upon individual concepts one by one. This will change in the next release. You should be able to select 1, 3, 4, 5, like, you know, n number of concepts and build out a paragraph using all of those concepts together. So you don't really need to add another fluff to it or more information to it. Everything that you needed to answer that particular query or H2 or H3 is all going to be concised and figured out in that particular thing. Yeah, sure, you can add it a little manually or use AI to write for it. It's going to work, but I would say, like, if I'm after the most solid, the most readable, and the most fluff-free information that I want. So I like keeping it concise and covering more topics than building upon an individual topic to a very depth. If I was building upon a particular topic to a very depth, it would depend on the keyword that I'm elaborating on. It would depend on the topic that I'm elaborating on. So not with an individual paragraph only. So this is my two cents on this.
And is there a way, like, this is just from the SEO perspective, but I know you don't want to get into that, but it's drifted away. It's on topic, but it's kind of drifted away from the terms that I'm wanting to focus on, right? So is there a way to kind of feed back in those terms that I would like to try have it craft in there while it's writing with GPT-3?
Absolutely. And this is not actually.
I hope that's not off topic.
No, it's not, right? It's concept related, right? So we went, like, here's a couple of things. When we are trying to extract concepts out of it, there's something called logit basis. We're already influencing it with some keywords and clusters, which are most important to make sure that we pull out content around those first, wherever possible. Okay. So you don't want to influence it too much so that it just brings out everything related to that and then forgets everything else, right? So it's very minimal. So let's say when you are actually building upon this concept and you feel like there is a particular word or a keyword or something that you can use. So I'm going to tell you two things. One thing, you can change a word, or you can just add a comma to it and add those particular keywords in it. And then
yeah, that's what I was wondering. I've done that a couple times. So
it should work.
I just didn't know if that was just me kind of cheating the system, or if there was a better way.
Work. It's supposed to do that, right? It's supposed to figure this out on its own, even if the solution is not whole in the concept. It's supposed to figure it out. So you could totally do that.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome. So you could totally do that. Yeah, there's a very clever feature in the next release that can go and optimize your sentences automatically for you for a given keyword. So
Cannot wait.
Yeah, no, that's what I was saying. Like that's gonna be insane amount of optimization that you can do at the end. Make sure you're covering all the topics, and it can do that for you as well. So, but right now, this is the way where you can go and add your own keywords, and it should work pretty much that way. Okay, where is next question? What about the first draft article release, Kabir? We're very far away from first draft. Whoever says there is a first draft available while I go and sip a coffee and come back, I don't know what to tell you, man. We can outrank them together very easily. But what we are going to have is processes in place that gets you to that first draft very quickly. And when we have mastered the art of that, that's when we will go with first draft. We really need to, there's many things that you need to master the art before you can say, you know, I wrote a research to topic on automation that can actually rank in Google. So you understand, right? So many parameters come into play in order to make that happen. So we'll see how far we can get there, but we'll get there pretty fast. Yes,
Hey, Pankaj, it's Vikram here. Got a quick question.
absolutely, Vikram. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Thank you. So basically, I just heard the discussion that you had with Jason right now regarding the concepts and how in the next release you are going to have the option on the right side to select multiple concepts one by one so that you can build the entire paragraph based on those specific concepts, right? So when you
Absolutely.
actually, yeah, so when you actually combine them together and run the query, I like you highlighted the problem on the left hand side when the content is being created, the starting sentence or the starting few words are the same. But
Mhm.
when we combine all these concepts together and then run the concepts feature, will the paragraph be created naturally without repetition of the first
Yes.
line?
Yes. So it
I
will
just wanted to clarify that. Yeah.
Yes, yes, no, absolutely. So a couple of things, right? It will create this paragraph that it did in a more concise way without repetition by combining multiple of your concepts together, and you can choose up to 4 concepts to combine and create content around. Then the second enhancements that we've made is that transitioning. So let's say if your cursor is placed here and you build out a second set of concepts together, it will transition into new paragraph instead of creating the paragraph as it was starting the section. So this is the second enhancement that we have done. So both of these enhancements together will solve any of the challenges that you are currently facing when expanding a concept right now.
Yeah, that's fantastic actually. Can't wait to test it out.
Absolutely, man. I can't wait to show you guys either.
Yeah,
Probably.
I'm totally stoked about this. So I just so you guys know, I've jumped ship from Jarvis over to y'all. So
Really, thank you so
yeah,
much.
so let me tell you how I look at it. I look at it like I had a really nice Ford Fusion that I was driving. I liked it, and now I'm in that Tesla. That's really how I feel about this.
Yeah, great. It's nice to hear all those things. Yeah, great.
That is absolutely amazing. You know what? I'm probably gonna go at a speed of 10x today to get that release out as soon as to you guys.
Yes.
Uh,
So guys,
you know
basically
what?
we
I'm
we did.
really. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, yeah. So, see, I've been with you since day one, right? You know me. We interact in the group, and
Yes.
I've started using outranking and the phenomenal growth that I've seen with every single release. And I thought the first version itself was so awesome, and then you started releasing all these new things. V5 was fantastic. Now you are telling us about all these concepts combining together. So the curve is fantastic, and I am really glad that I got in very soon and started learning early, and very excited for what you guys have in the future.
Yeah,
Thank you
same
so much.
same here. And I just want to add to that because, you know, I've drank a lot of different Kool-Aids, right? So from Phrase to Jarvis, Surfer SEO. I kind of look at your tool or this tool right now is it's combined the best of those 3 tools into one. And for me, that's amazing because I don't have to have 3 subscriptions running because I may have written in Jarvis, but I don't write my entire article in Jarvis. I might actually do the research and outlining in Phrase and bring that into Jarvis, and then use Surfer SEO to handle the optimization and dealing with the optimization score. So it's a 3-part process for me outside of just creating an article. There's more to it than that, but just bringing all this under one umbrella, which I think is kind of funny because you got umbrellas everywhere for pulling this stuff in. So it's awesome to me. I love it.
Thank you so much. All right. Well, while we're spilling the beans, right? I'll spill one more. The next release, like we understand, right? Like this writing part, I think we are very close to solving the problem of having gone from introduction to a conclusion. But research was the main aspect of it. Like people can create introduction paragraphs and templates for it very easily. There's so many LTDs available. You throw in a couple of words and it'll give you, a quirky or whatever introductions. We didn't really want to solve that problem because it's very customizable and anybody can come up with it. This is something that's different, right? This just takes actual time to do this research, build out these points, and make sure that you're talking about them in a holistic way. Like this is what we really wanted to solve. So, but with that, most people often focus on optimization too, in a very different way. They see after the fact, right? Like, how do I optimize my content to make sure that it has user intent? And they go, well, topics or keywords or whatever you call it, one by one on phrase, or like on any other product, right? Like any other product. And the same exact mechanism is that you manually go and adjust your content then to make sure that you're covering that cluster. If you're not talking about it, talk about it. Or if you are already talking about it, but it's not written in an appropriate way, write it appropriately so it can be recognized in Google, right? Guys, the next release can do majority of this automatically. And
Really?
yeah.
No way.
So,
sorry.
that's yeah. So like we really want to jump the gun on like optimization, but it's not possible an automation of everything, right? There's so many on-page SEO elements that you treat differently, that are scored differently, and when you write them, you need to care about different things in mind. So we built an algorithm that can actually help you identify sentences and places where you can actually go and add your optimization suggestions automatically, and then do it for you on your selection.
Yeah.
Okay,
There's a company out there called BIQ, BIQ, I think, and that they focus on that. They're really good. It's AI as well. But that would be amazing to have. I mean, the more we can do, sorry for that, the more we can do here without leaving to other apps is great, you know. So I'm excited. Totally stoked.
Thank you.
Yeah, so Pankaj, raise the prices soon, okay?
So that's what we are doing, right? We understand like you will be able to create a fully crafted, well-researched blog post in less than an hour, because we've done some significant changes to Outline Builder as well, as you will see in the next release. It's insane Outline Builder. Like, it is not a typical small scale understanding. This is crazy. But with that, your outlining research time, your content research time, content writing time, optimization time will drop so significantly that you should be able to really get the first draft going, which is more than a first draft, in less than an hour. And that is why we are doing currently on the early adopters deal. Whoever got in right now is going to get in there. But as soon as our AppSumo deal and the release is over, we're going to hike the prices, right? Then we need to charge based on articles, because that's how much you can write with it. So we're going towards consumption-based model eventually, but this is our first step getting there. And as soon as this deal ends, that's where we're going.
Yeah, so basically this is awesome actually, and people should get in on the deal because it is actually a deal of the lifetime. And the other thing you mentioned regarding how you're going to optimize the articles by placing the correct keywords at the right locations, something like this. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Kyle Roof. He's a very renowned SEO. His tool called Page Optimizer Pro actually specializes in this, right? So you can take a look at that, and if that concept also comes in to outranking, wow, that would be awesome.
Vikram, it's a little above that, right? So what Spyful would do is that it will tell you where, like, what keywords to add, right? Right. What I'm talking about is a little different. It's not just telling you where to add it, but going and rewriting those sentences to add it, keeping the meaning and the concept of that sentence intact. That is what I'm talking about. This is very different because constructing that one sentence will take you 2 to 3 minutes. If you are doing, let's say just 2 minutes, right? Like if you're a super expert, you do this in 2 minutes. But if you are doing this on scale and you're doing it for a 2,000 word first draft that you probably created on a very premature, writing tool and brought it over here, in those cases too, you can optimize the heck out of the content automatically by having the AI guide it.
That's fantastic.
You want me to tell you guys? Let me give you guys one suggestion that will change the world for you guys, and I mean it. So there is, would you agree that most of these articles that people write are probably going to go on a WordPress website or some blog?
Yes.
Okay, so keeping that in mind, this is $1 million idea. I'm not joking. Imagine being able to, your content's going to go to a specific site, one of your sites. being able to go and grab that sitemap, feed that XML sitemap into this, and then it do automatic suggestions based on your keywords, linking back to pages that you already have on your website.
So you're suggesting that we add something.
Yes.
People are in for lots of surprises in the next one. So we promise that we'll do major changes to SEO because people felt left out, that we're not focusing much on SEO. We build out a keyword gap analysis for next one that can go and do this and compare your traffic, your keywords, the one that you're ranking with your competitors and everyone around them. And once you have figured out the low-hanging fruits, use outranking with one click to optimize it.
Yeah. Well, so what I'm talking about is actually do interlinking on this article right when you're done, and use that sitemap to create all those interlinks in that document instantly. I mean, I wrote a little application that does this for me, but I mean, it would be really cool. There's a third-party company called Link Whisperer that does something like this.
So you're talking about internal linking, right? Very
correct.
Important.
And very important.
Yeah, it's I agree about that. Internal linking is the key of passing authority and from your magnet page, which are organic power page. So can you suggest it on roadmap to get a sitemap file and then try to suggest?
If you can give us an example, that would be amazing.
Yes, I mean, I'm telling you, it's a major pain point for people once they put them on there, because now if they've got a blog that's got, say, 1,500 articles on it, you know, over a few years, they've got to know where to go. Well, if this tool is looking through that sitemap, you know, that's just XML, it can go, okay, I identified all these titles that match these terms that we're already focusing on. Now let's throw that link in. Holy cow, that would be a game changer. Think about that.
I agree with Jason. And another thing is, he's just mentioning about the titles. Now, outranking specializes in SERP and the entire data scanning. If there is an option to scan the data of the websites once, so that there's a database kind of thing that is generated, and then the internal links are suggested based on the context of the entire article, that will be amazing. That's just a suggestion. I don't know how much processing you would need for that.
So
for larger sites.
The problem is this.
Can I say something about that? This is one of the hot topics for myself nowadays about internal link, because Google is giving lots of intention about it. I know that, but you know, there are some plugins that you can give your keyword, and then whenever you use those keywords in your website page, it's automatically linking. These are good, but I understand you need something suggesting based on AI to your based on page.
So
so here's a really good example. If I had a client and I don't own the website, so I couldn't install Link Whisperer on there for them, I could do this for them, hand them the document with all their links already there. They upload it, copy paste it into their editor, and done. Then they don't have to worry about orphan pages or all that research that they're going to have to do to go in and put those interlinks in, because that's a final process or final stage when you put a document online for SEO.
There's a couple of other things too, right? Like that falls into picture. When you're copying and pasting this URL, you want to also check what sort of domain it's passing you, what sort of page is passing you the authority, right? Because page authority will come into picture. So let me share like.
Well, remember, we're interlinking only. So this article would only be linking with its own XML map.
I understand.
Same domain.
I understand that based on the XML map, your current website page, AI will go and fetch the data like meta title, meta description, and some content to understand what that content is related about
to this new article. Correct.
Yes, and then suggest internal link about that. This is really great idea, and one of my focus on nowadays, but it will not be easy. Please make it as a suggestion on our roadmap, and we will try to do our best.
Can you paste the link in the chat so I can go do that right now?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
The challenges here is so I'll tell you two challenges, right? One, right, that we have lots of LTD users and we love them, right? But I also understand like budgets can be constrained for majority of the people here. So the issue is like, when we started building out the application the first time, like we want to really focus how we can help you create and optimize content. All of these things are super in mind, but it's reading more content from the web, right? It's reading and scanning the entire web pages. And that means characters, that means consumption, that means dollars. And we wanted to like there are many other things that we can do after scanning so much content, okay? The introduction of the two AI combinations that we have in our product can allow us to do a lot of things, but it just increases in consumption. Like, see, understand like even concepts, right? Like we're doing a great job at fetching this. It can be 20 times, 30 times, 50 times better, but the cost will also be 20 times, 30 times, 50 times better. But like we have to find the right balance. And I think if we start thinking about like, this is a very good idea, right? Like we've run so many experiments, Sarkan, right? Like on that landing page where we have literally beat out AWS and Azure for PostgreSQL as a service keyword that they would die for and spend $300, for one click on it. We've outranked them by giving so many internal links to one particular page and bumping up its authority. So I really, this is like a super idea. Thank you so much. I think we need
actually we have many ideas, but we need some time and we need also some users to realize all of them. Our developers costs are increasing exponentially, and we still have many ideas to realize them.
We're totally bootstrapped. So if you guys know, we're totally bootstrapped. Yeah, I mean, we've been getting suggestions for raising funds too, but we want to be bootstrapped. I think we've got this so far, and I think we totally pull it off without needing external help, but our users' help. So,
right. I'll be there for you. Let me know.
Thank you so much. Means a lot.
Yes, Pankil, we are over.
Yeah, we're already half an hour above it. So let's close this. Are you recommending that we get as much of AppSumo deal? Get as much as AppSumo deal as you want. I'm a fan of AppSumo. Sarkan buys here thousands of products every day from AppSumo. So I'd say go buy it. But what I would also suggest is that if you really, really, really and truly want to experience the power of platform, of what it's going to become eventually, I would say buy a recurring plan that is right now at the early adopters, because that plan will not change. That literally means that you can do your blog topics first drafts for less than $2, which will never be the case. Once we get out of here, you will understand like what scale will really mean is scale. I want to give or empower people to be able to create 3, 4, 5 finished blogs a day. And that can only happen if you are using tons and tons of automation to get you, that 80, 90, 95% of the way. Oh no, you will receive the future updates. That's not a problem. You will receive the future updates. Everything will be available to all the users. It'll just consume different amount of credits, right? So what I would say, like if you have an AppSumo deal, you can either go buy an add-on that can actually help you do everything that other people are doing. So I think you have the correct link, Malcolm, and it's a great deal if you're just writing 4 or 5 topics. The highest tier will work wonders for you. In no matter what case, you will get all the features. So don't worry about that. Okay. All right, guys. So thank you so much for the great session. We'll post this recording on YouTube sometime earlier tomorrow. We have to post the 20th session recordings from yesterday on the YouTube today. So we'll get to this tomorrow, and I'll circulate it to everyone in the group, as well as in an email, and it will be posted on the YouTube.
Thank you guys again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a wonderful day.
Thanks, guys. Thanks.
Bye.
See you in the next one.
All right, bye.